life of people not only in Niger State but also.
Still a chance for Ian Robin. It's
let him shoot. No problem.
Good morning and welcome to the Gallery TV newspaper headline review today, 12th of May 2022. I'm Eleje Chidima. This morning we'll be beginning with the newspaper headline on Vanguard. The major headline on the Vanguard newspaper as published by Nigerian dailies today is Buhari's Orders. Buhari's order, Nwajuba Akpabio on resign. President order ministers with political ambition to quit. Ngige to consult with Buhari for clarification. Other appointees to know fate soon. That's the major headline on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and the full story of that is on page 8. Above we have a story that says the appeal court vacates judgment voiding section 8412 of Electoral Act. That's on page 7. Still on page 7 there is a story there. ASUP begins 2 weeks warning strike May 16th. Jonathan APC extend deadline for submission of farms. That's on page 5. Household consumption expenditure rises to 25%. That's on page 9 on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Below the major headline, we have a story that says 2023 election. NJC issues fresh policy direction to stop conflicting court orders. That's on page 8. 2023, still on 2023 election, I am trusting God to emerge as APC presidential candidate, says Bankere. Another major headline on the Vanguard says 2023 PDP throws presidential tickets open. Marx heads PDP presidential primary primary to hold in Abuja. Over 10 million girls out of school in Nigeria, says UNICEF. The story is on page 13. On page 9, we have bandits kill over 40 in Taraba village attack. Still on ASU strike, Ogun students shut down Lagos Abeokuta Expressway in protest. And that's all we can take from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. The next paper with me, the Daily Independent newspaper. The Daily Independent newspaper has a major headline that says primaries appeal court insists political appointees won't vote. Primaries appeal court insists political appointees won't vote. Says they won't be voted for. Says they won't be voted for. Can't be candidate for election. Sets aside judgments voiding section 8414, says provision. That's the major headline on Daily Independent newspaper this morning, and you can get the full story of that on page 29. Above we have still on strike Buhari's COS host meeting with ASU, NASU others today. NJC issues policy direction on handling political election re-elected cases. Recommends appointment of 49 judges. That's the story above the major headline on Daily Independent newspaper today, 12th of May 2022. Below we have a side story. ASUP set to go on strike. Give federal government 2 weeks ultimatum. That's on page 7. Still on page 7 we have another story. Reps amend the Electoral Act to allow statutory delegate vote for primaries. Avert Row D section rejects processed amendments to section 29. I will support whoever emerges in free and fair primaries, says Tinubu. That's on page 7 on the Daily Independent newspaper. Court nullifies Malami Committee on sale disposal of recovered assets. We have another major headline that says 2023 election. Ono Nwajuba Akpabio quits cabinet after Buhari directives. That's all we can say from the Daily Independent newspaper. The next with me this morning is the New Telegraph newspaper. The New Telegraph has a major headline that says Buhari gives appointees in elective office 5 days to quit. Ohanese's SZLP hails president's order as Sage justifies directives. Nwajuba Onu Akpabio resign. nomination forms. I can only support candidates of free and arts leader. That's on page 3 and 6 on the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. Above we have a story, CVR, INEC to suspend online registration May 30th. Federal FEC approved 2 billion naira for purchase of 52 operational vehicle for civil defense. Electoral arts reps won against suppressing separation of powers. That's on page 6 and 5 on the New Telegraph newspaper. On page 4 we have a story. PDP nominates Danjuma Lai as new deputy minor whip. Above we still have salary review. RMAFC accuses SGF of stealing process. Says memo unattended to after 2 years. Below the major headline, Polytechnic lecturers to begin 2 weeks nationwide strike May 16. ASU protesting Ogun students shuts down Lagos Abeokuta Expressway. That's on page 3, 6, and 8. We still have a story why appeal court set aside judgments voiding 8412 of Electoral Act. 2023 NUC bans filing of same suit in different courts. That's on page 3 and 4 on the New Telegraph newspaper as published by Nigerian Dailies this morning. Below we have a story, party tickets, PDP adopts open contest as Mark heads convention committee. Lagos to host party delegates. That also on the Punch newspaper this morning. There's a major headline on the Punch says ministers exit head primaries. Buhari bows to pressure. APC panel may demand resignation letters. Nwajuba Onu Akpabio tends resignation. Malami Ngige retains seat. Action belated could have saved nation from drama. Sangiri Buhari. As a major headline on the Punch newspaper. The full story is always on page 2. Above we have a story 19 days after SIM ban, NIN registration hit 80.7 million. That's on page 31. INEC planned 3 weeks suspension of online voters registration. That's on page 9 also on the Punch newspaper. On still an ASU strike, reps intervene as students shut down Lagos Abeokuta Road. 2023 election unlikely, Nigerian progressing to anarchy. That's coming for Fali. We have another story above that says reps says status quo remains, a court void judgment. Below we have a front page picture that shows it's the wicked owing us pension, protesting civil war veteran laments as a front page picture on the Punch newspaper this morning. Below we still have a story, Lagos to demolish 10 more distressed building before Sunday. That's on page 31. On page 4 and 5, there is a story on the Punch that says hoodlums invade Lagos hotel, kill guard, rob jam officials. Banks assets rise by 19%, hit 62.1 trillion naira, says CBN. I think that's all we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. INEC tones down 37-day extension request by political parties. Says we won't adjust 2023 election timetable. Any review will disrupt process. May 29 handover sacrosanct, says presidency. Harps on induction of women, youths, and PWDs. Consider extension, Lent, Ramadan, Easter, Salah took most of our time. That's coming from IPAC. That's the major headline on the Blueprint newspaper this morning, and the full story of that is on page 6. Above we have a story, 2023 Malagi returns nomination form, promises Great Niger. Below we have a story, NAS amends Electoral Acts, okays local government chairs, vice councillors as statutory delegates. And that's all we have on the newspaper headline review this morning. Do join us at 12 and 4 for yet another update. I'm Elede Chidima. Enjoy the rest of the day.
The life of people not only in Niger State, but also
Still a chance for Iron Robin. It's
Let them shoot, let them shoot. No problem.
Nigeria about to exit second wave of COVID-19. Still on the headline.
Of nursing and midwifery to Edo State College Nursing Sciences as part
We declare